What is up, everybody? It is good to be back. It is a good Monday. Let me see here. Get my Instagram connected. See if I can put this mic up a little bit more. Here we go. Here we go. Boom. And boom. All right. So, I am super excited for this week. We are going over probably, one of my favorite books I've read in a long time. Super, super, super insightful. A lot of really good things. And I think you guys are going to like it a lot. So I'm really stoked. Let's go ahead and get everything loaded up here. That's not it. That's not it. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, sweet. So, wherever you're watching from, welcome. Glad you're here. Excited for this week. It is my hope and my prayer that you will not join this live stream and do nothing. That you will not join this live stream and take no action. That would be very bad. August, how's it going? Good to see you, brother. Caden, what's up? What's up? Most people are probably looking for quick fixes, just some loud type of, oh, here's how you can solve this problem. That's not what the purpose of this live stream is for. The purpose of this live stream is to provide you with small and simple actionable habits based off of the key concepts that are taught in top self-improvement books across the world. How's it going, Zara Linda? This week we are going to be going over Never Split the Difference. Never Split the Difference. There we go. By Chris Voss. Absolutely phenomenal book. I've read it twice now, and it has been super, super impactful in the way that I view conversations and interactions with people, and just, oh man, there's just so much good stuff in there. So if you guys haven't bought this book, read this book, I recommend it very, very highly. I've got a link for it over on my Instagram. If you want to buy that using the affiliate link, support the live stream, that'd be chill. But if not, that's fine too. Yeah. Okay. So the way that this is going to work is that we'll discuss a key concept from Never Split the Difference. We'll kind of go over the what that's being suggested. Then we'll talk about some reasons why people get hung up on the what. And then we're going to spend the last little bit getting specifically into the how behind the what. So we don't want to just give you, oh, here's what you can do, here's some self-improvement thing. We want to get specific with the how and show you how to actually apply these key concepts from these self-improvement books that we're going over here. And just a little bit of truth for you, transparency, just how I like it. I'm not a millionaire yet. I'm not anyone over here flexing Lambos or anything like that. Even if I could flex a Lambo, I don't think I'd ever really buy one because, I don't know, maybe I would. We'll figure out when I get there. But my name is Max Baldoff. I've spent the last 7 years defeating addictions, repairing broken family relationships, identifying and strengthening my conviction and my faith, doing all of that while staying out of debt, and maintaining or getting into shape and maintaining that shape as well. So I've been able to transform my life across all of life's different areas. And the reason I say that is not to toot my own horn at all, but just to let you guys know, like, I'm here in the trenches with you. Change is something that I am obsessively pursuing in my own life, and it's the entire reason why I've started the company that I have and am doing this the way that I am, is not only to help you guys cover top self-improvement books. Oh, what's up, Nick? But also to benefit me in all honesty, this is in reality a selfish endeavor, because it allows me to read self-improvement books and get better and change all the time, which is all I want to do anyways, so it works out great. So today's key concept, like I said, we're starting this week, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Oh, thanks, Nick. You inspire me too. And today's key topic is talking about tactical empathy. And so we'll just hop right into the book here. If you've got the book, we're going to start over on page 51. And just kind of go into the what tactical empathy is. Then we'll discuss kind of some shortcomings that people experience with it. And then get into the how of how can we actually implement tactical empathy in our lives and we'll craft a bite-sized actionable habit that you all can choose to implement if you do choose to. And my only hope is that you don't leave this live stream with nothing and choose to not take action. That would mean that I failed. Hey guys, we got Rylan, we've got Paul from England. What's up, Paul? And my boy Colin Malnori. How am I single? That's a great question, Colin. That's a great question. No, I am not Jesus. You can call me Jesus Jr. though. That's pretty funny. What's up, Mike? And okay, so we're gonna get started here on page 51. So this is the definition of what tactical empathy is. Okay, so this is Chris Voss speaking. He says, in my negotiating course, I tell my students that empathy is the ability to recognize the perspective of a counterpart and the vocalization of that recognition. Hey, Chris. So it's recognizing someone else's perspective when you're having a conversation with them, and then being able to state that perspective back to them once you realize what it is. That's an academic way of saying that empathy is paying attention to another human being, asking what they are feeling, and making a commitment to understand their world. So that's tactical empathy. Notice I didn't say anything about agreeing with the other person's values and beliefs or giving out hugs. That's sympathy. Oh, hey, Sophie from Costa Rica. What I'm talking about is trying to understand a situation from another person's perspective. And one step beyond that is tactical empathy. Tactical empathy is understanding the feelings and mindset of another in the moment and also hearing what is behind those feelings, so you increase your influence in all the moments that follow. It's bringing our attention to both the emotional obstacles and the potential pathways to getting an agreement done. In short, it's emotional intelligence on steroids, which, if you know anything about emotional intelligence, or care about having emotional intelligence at all, you should read this book 100%. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's helped me a lot in that regard. So that's the gist of what tactical empathy is. So I'll repeat that last part here. So tactical empathy is understanding the feelings and mindset of another person in the moment you are having a conversation with them, and also hearing what is behind those feelings, so you increase your influence in regards to that person specifically in all the moments that follow. It's bringing our attention to both the emotional obstacles and the potential pathways to getting an agreement done. So emotional intelligence on steroids. So it's just to reiterate, it's not sympathy, right? There is a key difference between sympathy and empathy. If you go, there's a really good video that I think the TED YouTube channel has by Brene Brown, where she discusses the difference between sympathy and empathy. Super good video. Highly recommend you check that all out. But so let's break this down a bit. What are some reasons why people aren't already applying tactical empathy? Like, what's holding people back from that? So one could be the confusion between the two, between sympathy and empathy, which we kind of discussed, and I'll refer you back to that Brene Brown video on YouTube. If you just search Brene Brown empathy versus sympathy, that should give you a much better definition than I can right here off the cuff. But just make sure that you're not mistakenly believing that empathy weakens someone's negotiating position. That is not true. Empathy strengthens your negotiating position. Lots of people overlook the fact that tactical empathy is about perception, not alignment. Fully acknowledging the other party's viewpoint without conceding your own. Essentially, it's agreeing to disagree while still getting what you want out of a conversation. Hey, thanks, Fallen Light. Appreciate it. But yeah, so it's making sure that you are able to have a discussion with another person and you can still agree to disagree, but you still get to the conclusion that you want out of the conversation. That's what tactical empathy allows you to do. But a lot of people miss out on tactical empathy because they think it's the opposite of that. They think it weakens their position. Hey, Garave. Hopefully I said your name right. We are talking about what tactical empathy is. We're going through Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Absolutely phenomenal book. If you follow me on Instagram at AskMaxBaldoff, I've got a link for it over there. An affiliate link if you want to hop on that. That'd be cool. If not, that'd also be cool. I don't really care. But so, and then the other reason why some people don't use tactical empathy is pride, essentially. A lot of people are ego-driven. They're overly focused on their own position rather than understanding others' perspectives and limiting their ability to influence effectively. Tactical empathy feels like manipulation to me a bit. I can see where you're getting that. But let me read you this because I'm assuming that you joined recently. So empathy is the ability to recognize the perspective of a counterpart and then vocalize that recognition when you're having a conversation, right? So empathy is simply paying attention to another human being, asking them what they're feeling, and then making a commitment to understanding their world. And so then tactical empathy is just using that understanding of their world in order to reach an agreement of some kind. If you want to interpret that as manipulation, that's fine. I interpret that as problem solving, right? There are plenty of conversations or disagreements or misunderstandings or business deals, whatever you want to call it, situations that tactical empathy works really, really, really well for. Because it allows you to get to the end goal that you have in mind much better than any other route. So when people can't handle the truth. Yeah, that's fair. So for you, I'd recommend you actually read this book, Never Split the Difference. It's a fantastic way. It teaches you how to I'm going through this problem in my life dealing with autism. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. If you want to elaborate, that's cool. But when people can't handle the truth, it's tough because in truth and in reality, like you can You can read people's minds, but most of the time they don't want to admit the underlying reality. Yeah, that's true of just about everyone. That's just human nature, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that. But empathy, so empathy isn't people not necessarily being able to handle the truth. Empathy is just you making a commitment to understanding their perspective specifically. And then tactical empathy is using the understanding of that perspective that you have to achieve an agreement in some end. So that's it. So what we're going to go over now is we'll talk about, I want to just kind of read one of Chris's stories, kind of showing tactical empathy at work here. Super, super interesting story. So for those of you who don't know or who haven't checked this book out yet, Chris Voss, the author of the book, he was the lead hostage negotiator for the FBI for about 20 years, and then he started his own like negotiation company, and now he teaches the tactics that he used both in this book and to businesses, other students that he has across the world. Super cool guy. And what he teaches is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, hold on. What are we saying over here in the chat? Yeah, people aren't always ready for the truth. That's true. I would, so you can be honest all of the time, but that doesn't mean that you always have to say exactly what's on your mind. Like you don't have to tell everyone everything that's going in your mind for it to be honesty. You can be honest with someone and then just leave some parts out, and that's not dishonest. It's just omission. That's my thought. Leaves you feeling like you're in too much control of the situation and manipulating people. Yeah, learning what not to say. I would so my recommendation is honestly going to be to read this book and then just run experiments in your own life. Like when you know that you're going into a situation or a conversation or something where you're worried about whether the amount of honesty that you're used to portraying is going to have a negative effect on the conversation, then probably just run treat that conversation as an experiment and say, okay, I'm going to try this level of honesty and omit some things with this person and see whether that works or whether it doesn't work. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know because I don't know you and I don't know the person. But at least that way you are running experiments so you can test and get data for yourself and know and learn what to not say in certain situations. Let me know if that makes sense. But that would be my advice. That's what I've done a lot of, is just had conversations. Yeah, I don't think silence is bad. Like, I don't think silence is a bad thing. It's only awkward if you make it awkward, in my opinion. Which I guess is probably easy for me to say since I don't really have any issues making friends or talking to people. But I've found even in conversations that I very well could be awkward, I can make an additional effort to use empathy and use tactical empathy in this case as well, to use my understanding of another person's perspective to reach or influence the situation in a way that I want, right? Yeah, feel free to give me a follow and let me know how that goes. I'm actually really curious. I'd be curious to see. Okay, let's get back on here. So tactical empathy. We're gonna share a story from Chris Voss here. So this is when he is a he's working with the FBI in Harlem, which is in New York. So it says, we had one big problem that day in Harlem. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, this is not the start of the story. Okay, here we go. It was 1998, and I was standing in a narrow hallway outside an apartment. Oh, jeez. Man, these comments are going off today. Yeah, I agree with when will we change. Awkward just means you're not used to being in the situation. The more you do it, the better you will be. There's definitely truth to that. I would say that also the more that you get used to being in different situations themselves, then when you arrive in a new, different situation that you're not used to, you can be not nearly as awkward in that new situation just because you've gotten used to being in different situations and stuff that's new. And that could be awkward, but because you've put yourself in those awkward situations so many times, they're just not awkward for you anymore. Trial by fire, kind of. Okay, so it was 1998, and I was standing in a narrow hallway outside an apartment on the 27th floor of a high-rise in Harlem. I was the head of the New York City FBI crisis negotiation team, and that day I was the primary negotiator. The investigative squad had reported that at least 3 heavily armed fugitives were holed up inside. Several days earlier, the fugitives had used automatic weapons in a shootout with a rival gang, so the New York City FBI SWAT team was arrayed behind me, and our snipers were on nearby rooftops with rifles trained on the apartment windows. In tense situations like this, the traditional negotiating advice is to keep a poker face. Don't get emotional. Until recently, most academics and researchers completely ignored the role of emotion in negotiation. Emotions were just an obstacle to a good outcome, they said. Separate the people from the problem. That was the common refrain. But think about that. How can you separate people from the problem when their emotions are the problem, especially when they are scared people with guns? Emotions are one of the main things that derail communication. Once people get upset at one another, rational thinking goes out the window. Here we go. That's why, instead of denying or ignoring emotions, good negotiators identify and influence them. They are able to precisely label emotions. They are able to precisely label emotions, those of others and especially their own. And once they label the emotions, they talk about them without getting wound up. For them, emotion is a tool. We had one big problem that day in Harlem: no telephone number to call into the apartment. So for 6 straight hours, relieved periodically by 2 FBI agents who were learning crisis negotiation, I spoke through the apartment door. I used my late-night FM DJ voice, which probably sounds something like this. I didn't give orders in my DJ voice or ask what the fugitives wanted. Instead, I imagined myself in their place. It looks like you don't want to come out, I said repeatedly. It seems like you worry that if you open the door... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me try this in an FM DJ voice. You guys ready for this? It looks like you don't want to come out. It seems like you worry that if you open the door, we'll come in with guns blazing. It looks like you don't want to go back to jail. For 6 hours, we got no response. The FBI coaches loved my DJ voice, but was it working? And then, when we were almost completely convinced that no one was inside, a sniper on an adjacent building radioed that he saw one of the curtains in the apartment move. The front door of the apartment slowly opened. A woman emerged with her hands in front of her. I continued talking. All 3 fugitives came out. None of them said a word until we had them in handcuffs. Then I asked them the question that was most nagging me. Why did they come out after 6 hours of radio silence? Why did they finally give in? All 3 gave me the exact same answer. We didn't want to get caught or get shot, but you calmed us down, they said. We finally believed you wouldn't go away, so we just came out. Super interesting. So that's tactical empathy at work, right? That's the ability that it has and when you understand people's perspectives and their view of the world, you make a commitment to understanding their view of the world. You see it through their eyes, and then you use that perspective and that knowledge that you have in order to achieve a goal or in order to reach an agreement. In this case, it was they avoided a shootout. I am 24. Hopefully the beard makes me look older than that, though. It's fun. Cool. So that is the what for today. And whether you guys are watching on TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever, drop a comment down below if any of this has resonated with you, if you've taken anything away from this so far. Super, in my opinion, super good stuff, super applicable in our conversations that we're having with other people on a day-to-day basis. Ideally, there was some value added for you. Maybe if not, then either I didn't explain it well enough and that's on me, or maybe you're not ready for the truth and that's on you, and that's okay too. But so now that we've got the what covered, I want to talk about the how. And so when we talk about the how, we're talking about specific instances where we build a specific habit that will allow you to practice tactical empathy in your life. So when we're building habits, the way that it works best for you to build a habit that will actually stick is to follow a couple different rules and put them in this format. So the first rule is that you make it so simple and so easy that you can't not do it. Like just stupid simple. And then you make sure that it's so simple and easy that you feel 100% confident in your ability to stick to your habit for the rest of your life or something. I don't care. Just no questions asked. You're like, oh, I could totally do this no matter what. And then as far as the format goes, you need to make sure that your habit has a specific what, a specific when, and a specific where. And when I say specific, I mean like really specific, like so specific, visualize yourself completing the movie or completing the habit like you're watching a movie in your head. So for example, when I lost 20 pounds in 2 months back when I was 17, because I was a little overweight. And one of the habits that I implemented in order to do that was I would drink 12 ounces of water before and after every meal while I was sitting at the dinner table. Right? So that paints a picture in your head that you're like, oh, okay, that's specific. Like, I get that. That makes sense. And that's how all of your habits should be. Obviously, again, within the boundaries of that habit being super small, super simple, and super specific. So you feel confident in your ability to do it. No questions asked. Right? And that's going to take some time for you to figure out. I developed a 10-step framework that allows people to change anything they want to about themselves that's like within their control, called the Life Optimization Loop. I actually gave a TED Talk on it a couple weeks ago. We're still waiting for that video to get edited and get posted, which will be fun. But so the step after executing those habits is adjusting. And adjusting is super important so that you make sure, because if we're being honest with ourselves, like we don't really know, we don't really know ourselves. I don't think anyone like actually understands what's going on in their brain and why like their brain is doing things the way that it is, because there's like, I mean, neuroscience is still a budding field. There's just not a ton of knowledge about like why your brain functions the way that it functions. So, making sure that you have an awareness about the fact that you are going to have to adjust this habit if you want to stick with it. And it's going to require a lot of experimentation and a lot of continued effort to make it something that actually sticks. But so within that framework, let's talk about a habit that will specifically allow you to grow your tactical empathy. So when you are having a conversation with a person, you can do this practice called labeling someone's emotions. So when you label the emotion of a person, and these are specifically, obviously, in face-to-face interactions, I am a strong proponent of having difficult discussions, difficult conversations when you are face-to-face, because there's something called the 7-38-55 rule that talks about how communication is actually broken down, and only 7% of communication is like the words that are actually coming out of your mouth, like what's being said. Then 38% is the way that you are saying the words that you're saying, so your paraverbals. So like whether your voice is kind of up pitched or down pitched, or whether your voice sounds angry, or whether you sound excited, or whether you sound sad, right? Like that's paraverbals. That's 38% of communication, and then 55% of communication is your body language. And whether you seem excited, whether you seem sad, whether you seem just like out of it, like you just don't want to be there, right? Like all of those, that's 55% of your communication. So a huge portion of it. And when you're having tough conversations or in negotiations, like I highly recommend having those conversations in person, if at all possible, because it allows you to get a lot more data and makes it a lot easier as far as avoiding miscommunications or misunderstandings can go. And I have gotten burned by that so many times, and so I've learned my lesson. But yeah, so when you are labeling someone's emotions, you're sitting there and you're trying to understand their perspective, right? And commit to that understanding of their perspective, which is empathy, and using that to achieve your end, which is tactical empathy. And so when you're labeling someone's emotions, like let's say you're listening to your friend talk to you about a rough time at school that they're having going on, or a coworker at work that's driving them up the wall, and you can listen to them, and then when the time arises in the conversation, you can say something like, "It seems like blank," and then kind of try to capture and rephrase their emotions and say it back at them, and just say, "It seems like this is happening," or "It seems like you feel like this." And notice you're saying "it seems like," not like, "Oh, you must be sad," or "Oh, you are this," right? You don't want to tell someone how they're feeling. But you can say something like, "It seems like you're frustrated about the workload." And if someone comes back and says, no, I'm not," then you can say, "Okay, cool. That's why I said it seems like. Tell me more about what's actually going on, because I obviously misunderstood you." Yeah. So here's like the exact structure of the habit that you can implement in order to increase your tactical empathy. So the what is going to be practice labeling the emotions of people you talk to, using the phrase "it seems like blank." I would do that. The when would be your first interaction with someone each day. So regardless of, specifically a face-to-face interaction. So your first face-to-face interaction with someone that day. And then the where would either be at home, at work, wherever you happen to be when that first conversation of the day is happening. is fine. Usually you want to have that be in the same place. So probably just, I'm assuming most people here have a fairly consistent schedule. So just identify whether it's the first time you're having a face-to-face conversation with someone is at work or whether it's at home. Just make sure that you are practicing that labeling of emotions and saying, it seems like blank, like you're feeling like blank or something like that. In those face-to-face conversations, make that the first conversation that you have, and practice that, and that will increase your tactical empathy, allow you to understand the emotions and the perspectives of other people, which will increase your ability to communicate with them. And also, if you are using that in a tactical way, to help you to come to an agreement on an issue. I hope you do this. I hope you take some kind of action because of what we've talked about here today. If you do, drop a comment, shoot me a DM. I would love to hear more about it. I would love to hear how it went. I would love to know if you have any questions or anything in addition to that. And just in wrapping up here, I've built a learning platform for people who are obsessed with self-improvement like I am, that I wish I had when I started this journey. Dude, if I had this resource 7 years ago, I would be years ahead of where I am now. But being able to have all of these self-improvement concepts kind of explained and then have an actionable habit attached to them. For each book that we go over, we have 6-part video courses for that. In the learning platform I developed, if you go on my link on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, it's all there. You can join that group. As soon as we hit 500 members, it's going to be $19 a month, but right now it's just $9, and you can lock that in for life. So if you're serious about compounding your change, like keeping the change that you have and then continuing to change on top of that, and this resonates with you, I'd love to have you in. If not, that's fine too. And I will see you on tomorrow's live stream at 6 p.m. PST. Thanks. Have a good one.